Hello everyone, welcome to Narayana online classes. We are going to be practicing some basic questions from definite integration. Alright, let's start. If 0 lies between a and b, then integral a to b mod x upon x dx. Alright, so look at that. A is given to be negative and b is positive. Now, this function mod x has, I hope you know this, has a special property. We know that mod x is x when x is greater than 0 and it is minus x when x is negative, correct? Which means mod x upon x will be plus 1 when x is greater than 0 and it will be minus 1 when x is less than 0. Okay, we are not going to define it at x equal to 0. The question should have mentioned it, but it's okay because it's a single point. In an integral, single point doesn't matter. Okay, so mod x upon x, it is plus 1 when x is positive, minus 1 when x is negative, right? Which means the given integral I can be written as, which is a to b mod x by x dx, can be split into two intervals, a to 0 mod x upon x dx and 0 to b mod x upon x dx. Correct? This is using the property number 3, that integral a to b can be split into integral a to c and c to b. Right? Why are we doing this? Because in each of these intervals the function takes a different values. Right? So in this is a to 0, the value of mod x upon x, a to 0. Right? This is all negative interval. Right? And whenever x is negative, the value of function is minus 1. So minus 1 dx and then integral 0 to b plus 1 dx. Correct? Here all positive interval. Right? And then just integrate, add it. So that turns out to be, which is equal to, if you go back, minus 1, just bring it outside and 0 minus a. So minus 1 integral dx is x from a to 0 and then plus 1 integral dx is x 0 to b. So this is minus of 0 minus a plus of b minus 0. So totally this is plus a and then plus b, a plus b. This integral is a plus b, right? Yeah, okay. Let us proceed then. The value of minus 2 to 3 integral mod of 1 minus x squared dx. Now, once again we see mod appearing, and in this kind of questions often students get confused, alright, because they don't know how to integrate mod. The simple method is just split the integral into intervals where the mod may be the same function or the negative of the function. Okay. So for example, we know that mod of 1 minus x square will be 1 minus x square whenever x square is less than 1. Correct? If x square is less than 1, we know this value is a positive value, which means I can just write it as 1 minus x square. You can put an equal to also here, right? And we know that mod of 1 minus x square is negative of this. So x square minus 1 if x square is greater than 1. Actually, let us put this is a convention to put the equal to with greater than sign. Okay, doesn't matter because the final result is the same. Right? So then we should ask ourselves, when is x square less than 1? When x square less than 1? That is, x lies between minus 1 and 1. Right? Whenever x lies between minus 1 and 1, x square will be strictly less than 1. Similarly, when is x square greater than 1? So in our intervals minus 2 to 3, that is, let's just remove this. So that is when x belongs to minus 2 to minus 1 union 1 to 3, in the given intervals. Otherwise, it's the better way to say it is whenever x is less than 1 or greater than, whenever x is less than minus 1 or greater than plus 1. I suppose that is better way to put it. That is when x is less than minus 1 or greater than plus 1. Okay, so with this understanding, the given I implies I can be, now we will have to break it down into 3 separate intervals. Minus 2 to minus 1 here, and then minus 1 to 1 here, and then 1 to 3 that appears again here. Okay, so I is integral minus 2 to minus 1 mod 1 minus x square dx plus integral minus 1 to 1 mod 1 minus x square dx. 1 minus x square dx, and then plus integral 1 to 3 mod of 1 minus x square dx. Correct? So when we do that, up to this point everything looks same, but after this, once you have split the intervals, your inner function, the integrand, will change, right? So in this particular case, we have already seen when x is less than minus 1, we have to change the integrand to x square minus 1, right? So this becomes integral minus 2 to minus 1 x square minus 1 dx, then plus integral minus 1 to 1 1 minus x square dx, and then integral 1 to 3, once again we go back to x square minus 1 dx. Alright. So now it's just a matter of calculation, that is I is equal to, what is integral of x square minus 1? I have this much, x cube by 3 minus x, right? X cube by 3 minus x. So x cube by 3 minus x from minus 2 to minus 1 plus this time integral 1 minus x square. So x minus x cube by 3, x minus x cube by 3 from minus 1 to 1, and then from 1 to 3 x cube by 3 minus x, x cube by 3 minus x from 1 to 3, 1 to 3. So slowly and carefully let us substitute everything. Substitute minus 1 here. So x cube, you have minus 1 minus, I am directly substituting each of these limits in every term. So minus 1 plus 8 by 3 minus minus 1 plus 2, that is the first bracket. Then second bracket is 1 minus minus 1, so 1 plus 1 minus 1 cube minus minus 1 cube. So again 1 plus 1 by 3. You understand, right? Instead of substituting minus 1 completely and then minus 2 completely, I am just substituting in each term the limits, okay, just to, because it makes it easier to calculate the fractions. And then plus 3 cube and minus 1 cube, right? So 27 minus 1 by 3 and minus 3 minus 1. How much will that come to? So this is 7 by 3 minus 2 by 3 and then plus 26 by 3. So upon 3 we have 7 minus 2 plus 26, and then what about the rest of the numbers? This is 1 with a minus sign, so minus 1, and then plus 2, minus 1 plus 2, and minus 2. So these two will get cancelled. There we have 5 plus 26, 31 by 3 minus 1, 28 by 3, right? So 28 by 3 will be approximately, 27 by 3 is 9, so 9.33, correct? 9.33, got it? Okay. Now just in case people are a little bit confused, how how did we decide, where to put the intervals and everything? So if some of you are good at visualization, basically, drawing the graphs, you try that. Okay, how do we do it? I will say start with mod of 1 minus x square is the same as mod of x square minus 1, correct? Because of the mod, it doesn't matter. Now, why are we doing this? Because this is easy to plot. How? We know this is the graph of y equal to x square, which means this is the graph of y equal to x square minus 1. It has just gone down by 1 unit. And now from this I need mod of. So from this I need y is equal to mod of x square minus 1. So the negative part you reflect it upwards. Okay. Once you do that, look at the limits. Minus 2 will be here, this is minus 1, this is plus 1, this is plus 3. Alright, and then break the graph down as you require. Okay, this often works, especially if these are straight lines, then drawing the graph is so much helpful because the areas would become immediately obvious. Alright, so you can try that, it's always good to know how to draw graphs. Okay, so, and then you can proceed. Right. If 1 to 4 mod of x minus 3 is 2a plus b, then a and b can be. Alright, so the first method, obviously you realize that as we did in the previous question, you split from 1 to 3 and 3 to 4. We will say I is equal to integral 1 to 4 mod of x minus 3 dx, which is integral 1 to 3 minus of x minus 3 dx plus integral 3 to 4 plus of x minus 3 dx, for the simple reason that when x is less than 3, in this interval x is less than 3, the mod becomes minus of x minus 3, correct? And then you can proceed as you know. Alternately, you know the graph of y equal to mod x, this is y equal to mod x. From this, if I want to go to y equal to mod of x minus 3, basically shift right. Shift the graph right by 3 units. Alright. So let us say this is 3 and 4. So the graph will come like this and stop here. Okay, and something like that it will go. We just need to calculate this area now. Correct? Because I hope you understand this, that definite integrals is essentially area. So how much is this and how much is this? You know, if this is 3, this must be 3, and if this is 1, this must be 1, right? So we can just say area is equal to half of 3 into 3 plus half of 1 into 1. So just add everything, 9 by 2 plus 1 by 2 is 10 by 2, which is 5. So our answer is 5. Now which of the options are going to give you 5? Think about that. Mod of x minus 3, okay, made a mistake here, please let me correct it. We are going from 1 to 4, the area I have calculated is from 0 to 4, okay, so I am very sorry about that. Let us quickly change it. Remove this part, this is the correct only, this will not be 3 units. The area we need starts from 1 to 3, so this and this, right. So this height now is 2 units, correct, because this is 1, therefore this is 1 and 2 units. Remove this also. So this is 2, so that will also change now. Half of 2 into 2. The first part, this will be half of 2 into 2. Two into 2, so that now makes it 4 by 2 plus 1 by 2, 5 by 2. Okay, this area is 5 by 2 units, and now check 2a plus b. 2a plus b makes it 3 plus 4, no. 1 plus 1, no. 4 minus 3 by 2. 4 minus 3 by 2 is actually 5 by 2, correct? Which is equal to 2 into 2 minus 3 by 2, right? Which means option number 3 is correct. As simple as that, draw the graph, get everything in place, okay? Alright then, let us proceed. Alright, integral 0 to 2 mod x plus mod of x minus 1 dx. Now shall we try this graph method? So I is integral 0 to 2 mod x plus integral 0 to 2 mod of x minus 1 dx, okay, dx. So this first one is mod x from 0 to 2, this height will be 2 units. The second one, just be slightly careful, the graph will shift towards the right by 1 units, right. If this is 1, then your graph will go like this, okay, and we are integrating from 0 to 2, this value is 1, okay, this is 1, 2. So how much is the area? Let us call it delta 1. Delta 1 is half of 2 into 2, which is 2 units. Delta 2 is 2 times 2 triangles which are congruent, so 2 times half of 1 into 1. So that is actually 1 unit. 2 plus 1, 3 units. I is equal to 2 plus 1 equal to 3 units. Correct? Fair enough, no? Perfectly alright. Okay. Let us proceed then. Half to 2 mod of log x to the base 10 dx. Alright, interesting question. I is equal to integral half to 2 mod log x to the base 10 dx. First observation, the base is 10. Don't leave the base as 10 because all the formulae that we are used to using, they need the log base to be e. So then first we will apply properties of log. We know that log a to the base b can be written as log a upon log b, right. So understood, the base is e, which means log x to the base, log x to the base 10 can be written as log x upon log 10, right. So this, right. Therefore I is, you see, log to the base 10 is a number, so it can just come outside the mod. Not only is it a number, it is a positive number, right. So I is equal to mod log x upon mod log 10 dx. So take out that denominator 1 by mod log 10. I don't even need to write the mod anymore because we know this value is positive. Why is log 10 positive? Why should log 10 be positive? Because 10 is greater than e. When this number is bigger than the base, that log value will be more than 0, right, in fact more than 1. Okay. So alright, so we have this right here and then integral half to 2 mod log x dx. Now take a second and think, since we are talking about mod here, for which intervals is going x is log x going to be negative? Think about that. Log of which number will be negative? Now we know log 1 is 0, right, which means on the right side of log 1 it must be positive because log is an increasing function, and on the left side of log 1 it will be negative, correct. So with that observation we will say, we know that log 1 is 0, which means log x is negative for x less than 1 and positive otherwise. Here there is an inherent assumption that you understand that x must be positive, that log is not defined for negative values of x. That is understood, I hope. Okay. So with that understanding we will say, which means mod log x is minus log x when x lies between 0 and 1, and it is equal to plus log x for x greater than 1, right, when x is greater than 1. So I hope now you understand where to split the integral, right? Which means I am going to write my I as 1 by log 10 into integral, we are going from half to 1 minus log x dx, this whole thing, plus integral 1 to 2 plus log x dx, right? So this is going to be equal to 1 by log 10. Now what is integral log x dx? Now if you recall from indefinite integrals, you would have done this in indefinite integration. Integral log x is x log x minus x. Okay, we apply product rule and then it's a few steps. I am going to assume that you know that result. So let's just write it on the side. We know that integral log x dx equal to x log x minus x plus c. Okay, apply product rule, where you are going to differentiate log x and you are going to integrate 1. Okay, so anyway, you can try that on your own if you don't remember, but here which means I is equal to, let us substitute step by step, 1 by log 10 half to 1 minus log x dx, 1 by log 10 minus log x dx. So put this minus outside into x log x minus x from half to 1, this whole thing, plus x log x minus x from 1 to 2, right? This bracket, that bracket is not required, the middle one is not required. Yes, okay. So 1 by log 10 into, I can put a minus here, substitute these values, 1 log 1 minus 1 minus half log half minus half, this bracket and then this one, the minus goes with this, and then plus 2 log 2 minus 2 minus 1 log 1 minus 1. That bracket is closed in the bigger bracket. Okay, so lot of numbers, let us be careful in calculating this. So which means I is equal to, go back, 1 by log 10, 1 by log 10 times 1 log 1 we know is 0. Let us just, whatever is 0, let us put it, because we know log 1 is 0. Once again there is a log 1 that is 0. Alright. So inside we have minus 1 and then minus half. So minus 1 plus half, which is minus half. Okay. So put this minus into minus half, and the remaining part is minus half log half, minus half log half. Okay. Then that part, this has gone to 0, 2 log 2 minus 2 and plus 1. So 2 log 2 minus 1. So plus 2 log 2 minus 1. Okay. So that is 1 by log 10 into half plus half log half. Actually, okay, fine. You can take this minus inside and make it minus half log 2, right? If you see, we can remove this and take a minus inside, so that becomes minus half log 2, and there is a minus there, which means this would be minus half log 2. Why? Because I want to match it with this, plus 2 log 2 minus 1. Okay, running out of space now. This is 1 by log 10. Now half minus 1 is minus half, and the rest of it, you see 2 minus half log 2, so plus 3 by 2 log 2, which if you notice carefully, 3 by 2 log 2, observe the options, you have 8 coming up, which means this 3 log 2 we are supposed to write it as log of 8, right? So this is equal to 1 by log 10 into upon 2 log 8 minus 1, log 8 minus 1. Now do you realize that 1 itself, once again, because of the options, the way they are written, this 1 can be written as log e, right? Which means you can write this whole thing, take the 10 inside, bring the 2 outside, half of log 8 minus log e becomes log of 8 by e upon log 10. And now finally, remember the original property, we said log of a by log a upon log b is log a to the base b. So this whole thing then becomes half log 8 by e to the base 10. Does it match any of the options? Of course it does. Half log 8 by e to the base 10. This is option number 2. Right? So just in case anybody was curious about the graph of log x, okay, we have actually run out of space. So what I am going to do is draw it here. Okay, log x graph and mod log x. So know that this is the graph of log x where this value is 1. From this, when you take mod, it will go like, the positive value will remain as it is, the negative value will reflect. So this is the graph of y equal to log x, and this is y equal to mod log x. Just for your understanding, in case you want to visualize this. Okay? Often visualizing will tell you exactly where to split the integral. So you realize that's why we split it at 1. Okay? Alright, then let us proceed. Integral 0 to pi sin theta plus cos theta upon root 1 plus sin 2 theta. Very interesting question. I know many of you believe that square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. A lot of you still believe that, right? Square root of 4 is plus or minus 2? No. Square root of 4 is only plus 2. Okay, why? Because we take square roots to be defined to be positive. Alright, now that property I am going to use here. What I am going to say is, observe 1 plus sin 2 theta is basically sin theta plus cos theta the whole square, which means under root 1 plus sin 2 theta, since I said that square roots are defined to be positive, which means I need to take the positive value of what happens when I remove the 2. Many of you will say, oh, since square is there, so when I put square root, 2 will go away. No, it's not as simple as that. You have to add a mod there, sin theta plus cos theta. Why do I have to mod? Because we want a final positive value, and this expression is not always positive. Sometimes it can be negative also, but we want a positive answer, so we put a mod there. Okay, so root 1 plus sin 2 theta is mod sin theta plus cos theta. Now apply that here, which means I is equal to integral 0 to pi sin theta plus cos theta upon mod sin theta plus cos theta d theta. Now you will realize the expressions are very similar, which means it is like x upon mod x. So sometimes it will be plus 1, sometimes it will be minus 1. We only need to figure out when will it be plus 1, when it will be minus 1. Okay. So then think about this. Now, sin theta plus cos theta equal to 0. We want to check at which point it changes sign. Means you take this there and bring it down, tan theta equal to minus 1. When is tan theta minus 1? It can be in the second quadrant or it can be the third quadrant. Of which value is in 0 to pi? The second quadrant value, right? Which means at x equal to, when is tan theta minus 1? When x is equal to 3 pi by 4, okay? 180 minus pi by 4. So at x equal to 3 pi by 4, 135 degrees. So then why are we doing all this? Because we are asking when is this expression going to be positive, when is it negative, right? And we know for sure that sin theta and cos theta are both positive in first quadrant. So keeping all of that in mind, we will say which means sin theta plus cos theta is greater than 0 when x belongs to 0 to 3 pi by 4 and sin theta plus cos theta is negative when x belongs to 3 pi by 4 to pi. Okay, why greater than 0, less than 0? Because we need to get rid of the mod. We need to understand when to put plus here, when to put minus here. So all of this, up to this point we have not even integrating, we're just exploring, just working and playing with the integrand itself. But once this is clear, we will say which means I, which can be written as, see we have already split I into, no we have not split it, okay. So I is equal to integral 0 to 3 pi by 4 sin theta plus cos theta upon mod sin theta plus cos theta d theta plus integral 3 pi by 4 to pi sin theta plus cos theta upon mod sin theta plus cos theta. Now once you split it like this, because we have said that somewhere it is positive, somewhere it is negative, you will realize it becomes integral 0 to 3 pi by 4 1 d theta plus integral 3 pi by 4 to pi minus 1 d theta. Okay, I am going with the assumption that you understand that when it is negative, I am going to get exactly negative of the numerator and they will cancel and we get minus 1. Alright. So, or just to be clear, let us write this as plus minus, okay, for the sake of clarity. So, now you will realize how we get plus 1 and minus 1. And therefore, after this is obvious, right? Because it becomes 1 times x from 0 to 3 pi by 4 and then minus 1 time, not x, sorry, there should be theta and then minus 1 into theta from 3 pi by 4 to pi. So finally we are left with 3 pi by 4 and then minus pi minus 3 pi by 4, right. So that is 3 pi by 4 minus pi by 4, which is like 135 degrees minus 45 degrees, 90 degrees, or pi by 2 is the answer, pi by 2, right. And since we are dealing with graphs, I suppose it will help you to visualize sin theta plus cos theta equal to, now ask where is it, what is the value at, we want between 0 to pi, right. So let us say between 0 to pi, make it pi by 2, pi by 4 and 3 pi by 4. Now we know when theta is 0, 0 plus 1, So the graph is, this is plus 1 and minus 1, the graph is here. Then at pi by 2, this is 0, this is 1. At pi by 2 the graph is here. And at pi 0 and minus 1, all the way there. What about pi by 4? At pi by 4 is 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2. 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2 total is 2 by root 2, which means root 2, which means slightly above 1. And we have said that at 3 pi by 4 it is 0, because this is 1 by root 2, this is minus 1 by root 2. So then you will realize the graph moves like this. Okay, that should tell you that when we take mod, we are not even taking mod, but when we divide it, these areas will cancel each other, as in this part, which is why we had to subtract minus pi by 4, that take away, then this becomes pi by 2. You can verify, actually just integrate this whole thing only from 0 to pi by 2, you will get the same answer, right? Okay, so that is for your understanding. Alright then, let us proceed. Fx equal to integral minus 1 to x mod t dt. Then for any x greater than or equal to 0, we need to figure out what is the value of fx. So essentially we need to integrate this. So now mod t, when x, if x is a positive value, then going from minus 1 to x, mod t will keep changing its sign. But if x is strictly negative, then minus 1 to that negative answer, mod t will behave the same way, right? So because of mod, once again we will say fx equal to integral minus 1 to 0 mod t dt plus integral 0 to x mod t dt. We are able to do this because it is given x is greater than or equal to 0. Because x is greater than or equal to 0, we are able to split it like this. If it was not, then we could have had some trouble. Okay, so this part at least we know that when mod t equal to minus t when t is negative, and it is plus t when t is greater than or equal to 0, which means I would be integral, this is negative interval, right? So minus t dt from minus 1 to 0 plus integral 0 to x, x is positive, right? So non-negative, it can be 0 also, so greater than or equal to 0. So mod t becomes plus t dt, 0 to x, right? Now this part at least I hope it is obvious. So minus 1 to 0, put minus t square by 2 from minus 1 to 0 and t square by 2 from 0 to x. So then we will have 0 minus, substitute this minus 1 here, minus half, and then plus x square by 2 minus 0, right? So finally we are left with x square plus 1 by 2, right? X square plus 1 by 2. Got it? Alright, then let us proceed. Once again, since we are doing this visualizing, we are dealing with mod t, mod x, right? But the integral is from minus 1 to t. So this is the t axis where x is a value on the t axis. This is minus 1. So this is y equal to mod t. Then we need to find this area. Can you see how much that area will be? Delta 1 is, you see, 1 unit, half of 1 into 1. Delta 2, the second triangle would be half of x into x, which is x square by 2, 1 by 2, x square plus 1 by 2, done, right? So visualizing will also help you whenever you need it, okay? Alright, then let us proceed. Integral 0 to 2 mod of x square plus 2x minus 3. Now when we see questions like this, quadratic expressions, you have to be a little bit careful because it takes a little bit of time to think when is it going to change its sign, right? So we will start with consider this fx, the innermost function x square plus 2x minus 3, right? You check at the endpoints. Actually with a quadratic it's not a good idea to check at endpoints, so don't do that. Try and simplify the function, okay? If it is factorizable, factorize. If it is not factorizable, then complete the squares. One way or the other, ask yourself where is it going to change its sign. Naturally it's going to change its sign at its roots only, no? If the roots are, let us say 1 and 2, then it will change its sign at x equal to 1 and x equal to 2, because there it will go from negative to positive or positive to negative. So here x square plus, clearly the product needs to be minus 3, sum needs to be plus 2. So x square plus 3x minus x minus 3, which then becomes x plus 3 into x minus 1, right? Now fx is this function. Now can you understand where will it be positive, where will it be negative, right? If not, apply wavy curve, minus 3 and plus 1. The wave always starts from rightmost top right and then draw this. So positive, negative, positive, right? Which means the conclusion is, which means fx is negative for all x belongs to minus 3 to 1 and positive otherwise, right? Greater than or equal to 0 otherwise. Now look at that. In the interval 0 to 2, mod x square plus 2x minus 3 mod x square plus 2x minus 3 can be, you see fx is negative between minus 3 and 1, right? 0 lies somewhere here, 2 lies somewhere here, which means fx is definitely changing sign. So we will split it from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2. So this is plus x square plus 2x minus 3 when x is greater than 1, that is minus of x square plus 2x minus 3 when x lies between 0 to 1, right? So we will now split the integral accordingly. Which means I is equal to integral 0 to 1 minus of x square plus 2x minus 3 dx plus integral 1 to 2 plus of x square plus 2x minus 3 dx, right? So bring the minus outside, x cube by 3 plus x square minus 3x from 0 to 1 and then bring plus there. Same integral x cube by 3 plus x square minus 3x, but different limits 1 to 2, right? Now just because function is same doesn't mean you can just combine the limits, because there is a minus outside, right? So minus of same thing that we did earlier. In fact, when you substitute 0, everything becomes 0, so you can just ignore it. So just substitute 1 by 3 plus 1 minus 3 minus 0 and then plus. Now here every term is going to matter. So 2 cube minus 1 cube by 3, 8 minus 1 by 3, then 2 square minus 1 square, so 4 minus 1 and then minus 3 into 2 minus 1, right? So minus of 1 by 3 minus 2 and then plus, this is 7 by 3, 3 minus 3, so 0, correct? So finally we are left with 2 plus 2 units plus 7 minus 1 by 3, which is 6 by 3, 2 plus 2 is 4 units, equal to 4, right? Equal to 4 units is your answer. Got it? Alright, then let us proceed. Integral pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, step of 2 sin x dx equal to 0. where step denotes the greatest integer function. The reason is given as 2 sin x is a decreasing function in pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. Now, a lot of students get confused with step function. Understandable, it can be confusing, but if you understand the behavior of the graph without the step, if you know where are all the values going, it's very easy to apply step. Okay, so we will just draw the graph of y equal to 2 sin x in pi by 2 open interval pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. Okay, so we know y equal to sin x goes from minus 1 to 1. So consider this is pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, which means y equal to 2 sin x will go from minus 2 to 2. This is 2, 1, minus 1, minus 2. Clearly at pi by 2 this graph is at x, put pi by 2 here 2, right? Sin pi by 2 is 1. So y is equal to 2, and then when x is at pi, this is pi, this is 0, right? And x is 3 pi by 2, we know sin 3 pi by 2 is minus 1, 2 into minus 1 is minus 2. So basically the same shape as y equal to sin x stretched. Alright, so this is the graph. Now whenever you want to apply step, what you should do is draw all your integer lines, and then between the integer limits you ask what will be the step function. So you now check here, step would be how much? In this interval, do you realize 2 sin x lies between 2 and 1. So step 2 sin x step y. I hope you understand. Step y coordinate, which is step 2 sin x, is equal to, all over here it will be like 1.9, 1.3, 1.7 something. So step y will be 1. Then in this interval, step y is how much? 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 up to 0.9. So 0. Now can you figure out the pattern? Step y is minus 1, and in all of this, step y is minus 2. Once this is clear, very easy to substitute, right? So we will say I is equal to, now often you will have to figure out where to split. You see here you have to split wherever the blue is intersecting the red. So what is this value? When 2 sin x is 1, which means sin x is half. This is 150 degrees or 5 pi by 6. Similarly, this splitting happens at pi plus pi by 6, 7 pi by 6. So just be a bit careful. I will be pi by 2 to, we are going to 5 pi by 6, step 2 sin x, then dx, then integral 5 pi by 6 to pi, step 2 sin x, dx, then integral pi to 7 pi by 6, step 2 sin x, dx, and then one more term remaining, plus integral 7 pi by 6 to 3 pi by 2, step 2 sin x dx. Now it may be confusing, but you go back to the graph, you will understand what is happening. So now here in this, in the first interval, like we said, in the first interval, so from pi by 2 to 5 pi by 6, this value is 1, this value is 0, this is minus 1, and you go to the next one, this is minus 2, right? So So then we have 1 integral pi by 2 to 5 pi by 6 dx, then plus 0 integral 5 pi by 6 to pi dx, then minus 1 integral pi to 7 pi by 6 dx, and minus 2 integral 7 pi by 6 to 3 pi by 2 dx. Do you realize that as soon as we figure out the integer value of the step function, each of these integers will just come outside the integral. The actual integration part is nothing, just integral dx, that's all. So it's just a matter of substituting the values, substituting the limits actually. So then everything will simplify to, you see, 1 into 5 pi by 6 minus pi by 2. 1 into 5 pi by 6 minus pi by 2, and then plus 0 into these limits, but doesn't matter, 0. Then look at this, minus 1 into 7 pi by 6 minus pi. So minus 1 into 7 pi by 6 minus pi, and minus 2 into 3 pi by 2 minus 7 pi by 6. Minus 2 into 3 pi by 2 minus 7 pi by 6. So this is 1 into 3 pi by 6, 5 pi by 6 minus 3 pi by 6 is 2 pi by 6, which is pi by 3, right? Then 0, then we know this difference is anyway 30 degrees, so pi by 6 only. So this becomes minus of pi by 6 and minus 2 into, make this 9 pi by 6 minus 7 pi by 6. So 2 pi by 6, which is pi by 3. So 60 degrees minus 30 degrees minus 120 degrees, it is clearly not equal to 0. The question is asking whether it is equal to 0. Clearly not 0. And if it is not 0, assertion is false. And as soon as assertion is false, of all the 4 options, you will realize only 4th option says statement 1 is false. Automatically 4th option is correct. Just to verify, statement 2 is true. Check. 2 sin x is a decreasing function in pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, which we know is 2. Because we drew the graph, right? Clearly 2 sin x is a decreasing function. Therefore, reason is anyway true, but statement 1 itself is false. Now there is a slight shortcut you could have taken. If you are 100% clear with graphs, only then you think about it, this shortcut. Otherwise you don't go with this, okay? Otherwise you go with the proper method. But if you are completely clear with graphs, here is the shortcut. We have been asked, I hope you have all the screenshots in use, and because I am going to change the diagram. We have been asked integral step 2 sin x from pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. Now the actual step values, you will realize this step is 1, which means from here to here it is at 1. From 5 pi by 6 to pi it's at 0. Then from pi to 7 pi by 6 it is at minus 1. And from 7 pi by 6 to 3 pi by 2 it is at minus 2. Okay. Now you understand that that integral represents area with x-axis. So if you look at areas with x-axis, clearly the total area is going to be a negative quantity, because area below x-axis is clearly bigger than area above x-axis. All we care about is it going to be 0 or not? Definitely it will not be 0. Understand that this is x-axis. If you are able to draw this, none of what you wrote will be required. If you are able to draw this, everything else is not required. You just look at it and you will know, oh, you know what, the answer is not 0, assertion is false, therefore option number 4. Okay, practice this. If you are not clear with graphs, you just go with this method. Okay. All right. Integral 0 to 102 step tan inverse x. Now this is a question made for graphs. I mean, you can still do it without graphs, but I think it's very cumbersome. So we will have to start with the graph of tan inverse x. but I have trouble remembering inverse function graphs. So what do? Always draw the regular graph first. So this is y equal to tan x, and then take a reflection about y equal to x. So the actual graph we are looking for is this. This is y is equal to tan inverse x. And I hope you realize that since this value is pi by 2, here this will be pi by 2 and this will be minus pi by 2. Okay? Fine. Now once again we are talking about step value. For step value we need to ask what is the integral part. Maximum tan inverse x takes is pi by 2. Now pi is 3.14, so pi by 2 is approximately 1.54, something like that, right? Which means if I actually start putting the integer values, this will be 1, this will be 2, minus 1 and minus 2, right? Which means now if you follow the previous procedure I told you, from here you draw your integer lines. Where is it touching? Somewhere over here and over here, right? Anyway we have to go from 0 to positive side, so you can ignore the left side, ignore this half, ignore this part completely. Only look at the right part. This is some value. What is this value? If this value is 1, this value, tan inverse something is 1. Think about that. What should this value be? Tan inverse of x is 1, therefore x is tan 1. This is tan 1. What do you mean tan 1? Tan 1 radian. Okay, so with this understanding, now we are going to start integrating. Alright, we will say I is equal to integral 0 to 102 step tan inverse x dx, which as you can clearly see on the left side of tan 1, the graph is below this line, green line. The graph is below green line, which means the integral part is 0. Can you see that? Because all of these points, this will be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. When you take step value, there will be 0. Above the green line, the step value will be plus 1. So we need to split it right there. 0 to tan 1 step tan x dx plus integral tan 1 to 102 step tan x dx, correct? And now we can see that this value is 0 and this value is 1. That you can see from the graph. Alright? If that much is clear, the problem is as good as solved, because this is 0 integral something, 0 into some values, plus because this 0 will come outside, this whole thing will come 0, plus this is 1, no? So 1 integral tan 1 to 102 dx, because 1 has come outside, integral dx is x only. So this is basically x from tan 1 to 102. Then it becomes 102 minus tan 1. 102 minus tan 1. Right? Once again, analytically, if you want to understand this, you should ask at which point is this integer value going to change its value. So then think about it. On the leftmost part, when x equal to 0, when this is 0, then it will keep increasing. Then you ask when is it going to be equal to 1. So then write tan inverse x equal to 1, therefore x equal to tan 1, go up to tan 1. And then think when is it going to be equal to 2, you should realize it will never be equal to 2, because the maximum it takes is pi by 2, which is 1.54, something like that. And with that much understanding, then you will come to this point without the graph, if you are not comfortable with the graph. Okay. Alright, then let us proceed. Integral 0 to 1.5 x square step of x square dx. Okay. So once again we need to ask where will step of x square change its sign, right? So we know that step of x square equal to 0 when x lies between 0 and 1. 0 included, 1 not included. And step of x square equal to 1 when x lies between 1 to which value? When x lies between 1 to 2? No, root 2. When x lies between 1 to root 2, because up to root 2 x square will become 2 then. At root 2 x square becomes 2. Its step value is 2. And step x square is 2 when x lies between root 2 and root 3 actually, but in our case, yeah, you make it root 3 and then you realize that 1.5 is less than root 3. Correct? So, I is equal to integral 0 to 1 step x square dx plus integral 1 to root 2, sorry, not step x square step x square. I is equal to integral x square step x square dx from 0 to 1 plus integral x square step x square dx from 1 to root 2 and then plus integral x square step x square dx from root 2 to 1.5, right? Now here we know this step of x square, we know this value is 0, this value is 1 and this is 2. Therefore, I is equal to 0 into some terms, right, this 0 into some terms plus 1 integral 1 to root 2 x square dx plus 2 integral root 2 to 1.5 x square dx. That is 1 you can ignore, x cube by 3 from 1 to root 2 plus 2 times x cube by 3 from root 2 to 1.5, right. So, now it's just a matter of substitution. Check x cube by 3 from 1 to root 2. So, upon 3 root 2 cube is 2 root 2 minus 1 plus 2 times 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 into x cube from root 2 to 1.5. So, 1.5 cube minus 2 root 2. Okay, that will be your answer. It's a lot of decimal calculation. I am sure you can simplify it on your own. Alright, so after this you can proceed. Let us go to the next question. The value of integral 0 to 9 root x plus 2 step of that. Okay, so again we need to ask where is it going to change its integer value. So first start with, we know that step of x plus any integer is step x plus that integer, which means that 2 will go outside the step, which means step of root x plus 2 is basically step root x plus 2. That is the first understanding. Also, in 0 to 9, step of root x will be 0 at some places. Where? When x lies between 0 and 1. When x lies between 0 and 1, strictly root x will also be between 0 and 1, and therefore root x will be, its step will be 0. It will be 1 where? When x lies between 0 to 2? No. When x lies between 0 to root 2? Again no. When x lies between, sorry, I have been saying 0, I should have said 1. So, x lies between 1 to 4. Now notice this, 4. Why 4? Because root 4 is 2. So, when root x lies between 1 to 2, x lies between 1 to 4, right? Okay. And this is 2 when x lies between 4 to 9. Right? Because once again between 4 to 9, let us say x is equal to 5. What is root 5? 2.32 something, 2.23 something. So 2 point something, which means its step value will be 2, and so on up to 9. As soon as x reaches 9, step root x will become 3. Right? Okay. So with that understanding, we will have implies I is equal to integral 0 to 9 step root x plus 2 dx, which is integral 0 to 9. First of all, we said step root x plus 2 outside dx, which step root x now we have split into 3 intervals. So integral 0 to 1 step root x. By now we have enough practice, so I hope I can just substitute this. So in 0 to 1, this value is 0 plus 2 dx plus integral 1 to 4, this value is 1 plus 2 dx plus integral 4 to 9, this value is 2 plus 2 dx. Correct? So eventually we will have 2 into 1 minus 0 plus 3 into 4 minus 1 equal to 2 into 1 minus 0 plus 3 into 4 minus 1 plus 2 into 2, 4 into 9 minus 4. Right? So 2 plus 9 plus 4 into 5, 20. 11 plus 20, 31. Got it? Okay. Alright, then let us proceed. Okay, integral 1 to 3 dx by x square plus step of x square plus 1 minus 2x step x. Now thankfully we are only dealing with step x here. You know, inside the step there is only x and no other function of x. So we just have to ask in 1 to 3 clearly step x is 1 when x lies between 1 to 2 and step x is 2 when x lies between 2 to 3, which means I can be written as integral 1 to 2 dx upon x square plus, no, in 1 to 2 instead of step x I can write 1. So 1 square plus 1 minus 2x into 1, right? And then from 2 to 3 dx by x square, step of x in 2 to 3 is 2, so 2 square plus 1 minus 2x into 2, right? So what are each of these values? This is integral 1 to 2 dx by x square minus 2x plus 1. Do you realize this is x minus 1 the whole square plus 1 extra is remaining, correct? Then plus integral 2 to 3 dx by x square minus 4x plus 4 is x minus 2 the whole square. The question has been designed in such a way that you will always get a perfect square, right? Because a square plus b square minus 2ab. Can you see that? A square plus b square minus 2ab. It is made like that. Now each of those terms you will realize that those integrals are tan inverse. You know, tan inverse of x minus that term upon the other square. Right. So since this you are well practiced with, we can directly write equal to 1 by a tan inverse x by a from 1 to 2 plus 1 by a tan inverse x by a from 2 to 3, and the second one actually a square is 1 only, so this will be 1, this will also be 1, right? Since integral dx by x minus a the whole square plus b square can be written as 1 by b tan inverse x minus a by b. Okay, so now just a matter of substitution. Tan inverse 2 minus 1. So tan inverse 1 minus tan inverse 1 minus 1 is 0 plus tan inverse 3 minus 2. Once again 1 minus tan inverse 2 minus 2, same value. Right? So basically 2 times tan inverse 1, because each of these terms are 0. So this is 2 into pi by 4, which is pi by 2. Pi by 2 is your answer, right? Okay, let us proceed then. Integral 0 to 64 fractional part of cube root of x. Okay, so now we are dealing with fractional part, but the rules are similar. Okay, so we know that fractional part of x must lie between 0 and 1, always, wherever x might lie, which means fractional part of cube root of x hold on a second, which means fractional part of actually on top of this we should also add, and also we know that fractional part of x is x minus step of x, right? So keeping all this in mind, which means fractional part of cube root of x is cube root of x itself when x lies between 0 to 1, right? If x lies between 0 to 1, its cube root is also going to be a fraction, which means it will be the same value. Then think about this, for x lying between not 0, 1 to 8. For x lying between 1 to 8, cube root of x will lie between 1 to 2. Therefore, its fractional part would be cube root of x minus 1. Why? Because when cube root of x if it lies between 1 to 2 means step of cube root of x equal to 1, isn't it? It means step of cube root of x equal to 1. In this interval, step of cube root of x is 1, and you know you have to subtract step of x, right? So now going by the same logic, it will be cube root of x minus 2 when it will be cube root of x minus 2 when x lies between 8 to 27, and it will be cube root of x minus 3 when x lies between 27 to 64, and we have to go up to 64. Okay, so with all this understanding, we know where to split the graph, not just the graph, we know where to split the integral now, which means I is equal to integral 0 to 1 cube root of x dx, or let us just write it as x raised to 1 by 3, x raised to 1 by 3, then plus integral 1 to 8 x raised to 1 by 3 minus 1 dx plus integral 8 to 27 x raised to 1 by 3 minus 2 dx plus integral 27 to 64 x raised to 1 by 3 minus 4 dx. Now it's just a matter of step by step simplify everything. Okay, so in 0 to 1 it is x raised to 4 by 3 upon 4 by 3 In fact, if you realize, if I combine just the x terms, I can actually just the x term, x raised to 1 by 3 is 0 to 1, then 1 to 8 and 8 to 27 and 27 to 64, which means just the x raised to 1 by 3 term can be written as integral 0 to 64 x raised to 1 by 3 dx minus 1 integral dx from 1 to 8 minus 2 integral dx from 8 to 27 and minus 3 integral dx from 27 to 64, right? It is probably easier for calculation. So that is equal to go back and check integral x raised to 1 by 3. Integral x raised to n is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So this is x raised to 4 by 3 upon 4 by 3 from 0 to 64 and minus 1 into 8 minus 1 minus 2 into 27 minus 8 minus 3 into 64 minus 27, right? So minus 1 into 8 minus 1 minus 2 into 27 minus 8 and minus 3 into 64 minus 27. Okay, looks like it should be a small answer, although it looks like it should be a large answer. So this one would be 3 by 4 into x raised to 4 by 3, 64 raised to 4 by 3 now. 64 raised to 1 by 3 is 4, 4 raised to 4 is 256, right? And then minus 7 and then minus 2 into, this is 19 and minus 3 into, this should be 7 and 3, right? So 3 by 4, I think you can cancel 1 4, we will get 64 also anyway, correct? So because that is 4 raised to 4. So 3 into 64 is 180 plus 12, 192 minus 7 minus 38 minus 90 plus 21, 111, which is 192 minus 7 plus 8 is 15, 15 plus 1 is 16, 6 carry 1, 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 5 and then 1, right? So 12 minus 6, 12 minus 6 is 6, so 8 minus 5 is 3 and 0. So 36 is the required fractional part, right? 36 is your, sorry, not required fractional part, the required integral value. Got it? Okay, let us proceed. If fx equal to 0 integral 0 to x sin raised to 4t plus cos raised to 4t dt, then f of x plus pi is equal to what? All right. Now observe carefully, f of x plus pi, they want us to answer in terms of fx and f of pi by 2, right? Which means they are not expecting us to directly integrate it. So what is the significance of pi by 2 here for this function? If you think about it a little bit, you will realize pi by 2 is actually its period, right? Because if you just add t plus pi by 2, sin t plus pi by 2 becomes cos pi by 2, cos t plus pi by 2 becomes minus sin t, but there is a raised to 4 here, so that minus will go away, right? So we will start with the observation. Observe, if g of t is sin raised to 4t plus cos raised to 4t, then pi by 2 is a period of g of t. Now you want to check, since g of t plus pi by 2 becomes cos raised to 4t plus minus sin t raised to 4, which is anyway g of t. So we know this is a period, and if it is a period, then I can write, let us write it in the next page, which means f of x plus pi can be written as integral 0 to x plus pi g of t dt, which is integral 0 to x g of t dt plus integral x to x plus pi g of t dt, right. Now notice, for any periodic function, if you are going from a to a plus nt, then we know that integral a to a plus nt f of x, let us say, is n times integral 0 to t fx dx, where t is the period. Right, of f of x. Now here pi is exactly double the period, so we will write this as which means integral x to x plus pi g of t dt can be written as 2 times integral 0 to pi by 2 g of t dt. Why? Because its period is pi by 2. Now this you realize, this is exactly 2 times f of pi by 2, this term. And the first term, this whole thing along with the integral, this whole thing along with the integral is simply fx. Right. So the first term is fx, the second term is 2 times f of pi by 2, right. Therefore, which means f of x plus pi, which is integral 0 to x plus pi sin raised to 4t plus cos raised to 4t dt, it is actually integral 0 to x sin raised to 4t plus cos raised to 4t dt plus 2 times integral 0 to pi by 2 sin raised to 4t plus cos raised to 4t dt, right. So basically it is fx plus 2 times f of pi by 2, fx plus 2 times f of pi by 2. Got it? Yeah? All right, let us proceed. Okay, so we have reached the end of the session. Thank you.